Welcome to the live stream. I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and it is a pleasure to have you with me. I see Freddie's in the house, and if you are here, I see three other people, so please say hi in the chat. I do have subscribers only turned on for the chat. Again, I'm trying to reward those people that are subscribed to the channel with these live stream chats, and obviously anyone can watch them. You can watch them now, you can watch them later. They will be up on the channel. And then last week I put in chapter markers, so you can go back and watch last week's 2 live streams. There's some really good information in there, and we've got some really good things tonight to cover. Actually 2 main things other than our Q&A, and I do want to take some questions. Freddie's already asked a question tonight, so it's great to have you with me tonight in the chat. And I want to acknowledge you. I want to pay attention to the chat. I want to make sure my mic is unmuted. I want to make sure the audio and the video sounds good. It's good to see you, Brianne. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for saying hi. And so I'll give you a little format. We have 2 lives tonight. We have the live show, and I hope to be off the air about 1:07 or so. Then I will switch real quickly and roll the post show. The post show is going to be a little personal tonight. I hope that you'll enjoy it. I do have a couple other things to share. I did not put those in the title, but we're going to talk about what makes me smile, and I want to really talk about how that applies to live streaming. So that'll be in the post show. That starts approximately at 5:15. Everybody's invited. Again, you need to subscribe in order to chat, but that's 2 lives tonight. And rather than doing a long live, we want to try to cut to the chase and get right to what we're going to talk about tonight. Elin, it's good to see you. I don't think, is it Elin? Let me know if I should be pronouncing the I as like in island, or is it like in Indiana? So let me know. It's good to see you, Tony from Quick Tech Solutions, with me as well. And as the chat populates, I will say hi to everyone, but thank you so much. Also, if you're new, please let me know where you're from, what part of the world. I'm here in the state of Washington, and the city is Richland. So you can look that up on the map and see where I'm at. But again, tonight we're going to look at how to make a JPEG into a transparent PNG file. I'm also going to share my first experience with the Blackmagic Design Web Prsenter HD. So we'll talk more about that. I do want to go this route tonight after we get a chance to say hi to everybody. I want to talk about the Photoshop tutorial first and share that with you. And then we're going to talk about my experience. It should only take us about 5 or 6 minutes to do the Photoshop tutorial. And I want you to know how to, when you want something that you found, like a product that you want to do a video for your channel, or however you would want to use this, most of the JPEGs that we find online, even if we have to go to, like, let's say you go to Elgato's site and they don't have like a packet of pictures that you can download. And even if they do, most of the time they're JPEGs, and JPEGs are the picture of like a microphone on a white background. Usually those are the pictures that we're probably going to bring into a still image. And if you don't want that square background, how do you turn it to transparent? How do you do that? We're going to show you real quickly. I can do a lot of these in 30 seconds or less. We're gonna time it tonight and see how fast I can do one, but I'm gonna show you how to do that first. Then we're gonna talk about my experience driving 2.5 hours north, 2 trips to go see their live venue, and then assess their issue with OBS, make some recommendations. Once the equipment got there, I would either go up and install or show them how to install through a Zoom meeting, and then go up there and solve any problems, that's exactly how it turned out. So we're going to talk about that experience. I'm going to tell you how I feel about the Web Prsenter, and I'm going to show you some footage of it right there in their venue. You saw a picture of the guy I was working with, Zach, up there in the still image tonight for the show, and you'll see his image again. I have a short little video of behind the scenes that we're going to show later tonight. So again, let's look at the chat and just say hi. Again, I don't see at least on my chat. Anybody new? I just want to read through. Audio and video is good. Thank you, Freddie. Again, hi, Brianne. Hi, Elin. Hi, Freddie. I answered Freddie's question earlier. If you guys want to just take a moment to hear that. He asked me if I bought a web presenter, and I said no. The church that I went and helped, which is a venue, I know some people up in the Spokane area. I was referred to them to come up and help them solve a problem, and so I did not buy a web presenter, though I do intend to. We'll talk more about that in the second half tonight. So again, my name is Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. This is a place that you can learn about live streaming. You can learn about technology for photos, for video, for audio even, as well as live streaming tech. I do a lot with Blackmagic Design, but now I'm learning things like ROS switchers, which we'll talk about later. I'm learning about Roland converters. I learned about that in this new venue that I was at. So lots of things that I'm growing in, and I hope that you are growing too. And it wasn't not long ago where I didn't know how to turn a JPEG into a transparent PNG, and I actually had to learn how. I had some people show me, it didn't stick. So I actually got on and did some video research here on YouTube, and I found out how to do that. I will say thank you again to all of you that subscribed. We broke 1,000 subscribers. I can monetize my channel now. The only video that I have so far monetized, the only thing I've done with monetizing, have not enabled super chat and super stickers yet, because I need to kind of decide how I'm going to show your super chats on the screen. And I just want to make sure that I pick the right system for that. So hopefully I'll make that final decision this week. But my post show will actually be monetized, which means that after it goes live, some commercials are going to play that you can skip. That's one of the options. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the post show as well as what makes me smile in the post show. So again, let's look at the chat. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but Shalom from Israel, that's great. Elin, it's great to have you all the way from there. Freddie's from Venezuela. I don't know yet where Brianna's from. Maybe you told me in a previous stream, but let us know. Also, Tony, it would be cool, Quick Tech Solutions, if you would let everybody know as well where you're from. But thank you so much for joining us. And let's get right in tonight and dive into what we're going to talk about. So let me open up Photoshop here. And just to save us some time tonight, I've already taken a JPEG, and it is a ATEM Mini Pro, and I already have it in Photoshop. And I'll talk about how you do that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you through the tools and how you're gonna export to make this JPEG file a PNG or a transparent file. And then you can take that transparent graphic and you can drop it on your screen. So let's say you had Microsoft Word, right? And you typed your name and you wanted to use it as a lower thirds inside your live stream. Well, you could go into Microsoft Word, export it as a JPEG with whatever color background you want. I would always go with a lighter color than what the font is, so we can separate those, and you'll see why here in a minute. Then once you have that file, if you have Photoshop or you get a subscription to Photoshop, you can use the tools in Photoshop to take that and make it transparent. And now you could bring that in to a document and export it into your live stream and use it as a lower thirds. And if you use the flying key feature, which we'll look at tonight, then you would actually be able to put it anywhere you want on the screen. You don't even have to make a 1080p frame and then put it in the lower thirds like I made this one. So this one has an imaginary clear box around it, so it sits right here when I pull it in to my Blackmagic Design media player. So with that said, I have this open, so let's go to me and my desktop. And again, I'm using Mix Effects on my iPad. I actually have it mounted right here. It's actually, you can see the edge of it right here in the corner of the frame underneath my logo. And I have my phone now mounted just below the camera, and I'm watching the chat here so I can acknowledge anybody that says hi, and then we can cover the questions here in a minute. So let's dive right into Photoshop, and let's show you how to do this technique. So let me find that particular, what is it about when you're live and you look at a screen, it's harder to read things than when you're rehearsing before? Again, that's just kind of what happens. So me and the desktop. So here you go, I have Photoshop opened and I have what we would call a JPEG. So if I took this JPEG and I dropped it onto a black background, it's gonna look just like it does on the screen. Now I can make it different sizes, right? But it's gonna have that white background in the back. So how then do I make this white background go away and make this a PNG? So I am gonna be looking over at my laptop, so I apologize for that. And I know I should have reversed this super source. But so the first thing you do is in this row on the side here is you're gonna take your magic wand tool. And then I always say up here under tolerance, you can set this tolerance level. It's right up here on the top. You can set that between like 10 and maybe 25. And it depends on what's in the graphic, how sensitive you're gonna need to make this tool. So once you've clicked on the magic wand tool, we're just gonna click anywhere in the white area because that's what we want to go away. And what it did is it made this outline around the A10 Mini Pro top-down view, and it made this little sparkly outline on the bottom here. Now, if it wasn't tight enough or I wanted to get rid of some of the shadow, I would just hold down Shift and I would put it right on top of the shadow down here on the bottom of the ATEM. And I click again, and you can see it, it's making more transitions there. So now that I've got it the way I want it, and again, you can play with this as you get Photoshop and you get a JPEG in there, and you can go online, use your snippet tool in Windows or use some kind of snippet tool in your Mac, and you can copy JPEGs like at DJI's site, or you could go to Blackmagic Design site, and you could take any picture of any piece of equipment, draw a box around it, cut it, save it as a JPEG, bring it into Photoshop, take out the magic wand tool, click in the white area, and then now what you want to do is that you want to right click inside the white area, and then you want to scroll down here to select inverse. So we're going to inverse what we just did. Okay, so what we're doing is we selected with the select tool, the magic wand tool, the ATEM and the ATEM again, the back of it, but that's not what we want to go away and make transparent. We want the inverse. We want to reverse it now and make it the white stuff be selected. So I'm going to select inverse, and as soon as I select inverse, now all I have to do is go down here to this little tool right here, and if you're in like After Effects, there's a tool like this, and it's basically show transparency tool. And so I'm going to click on this, and now you can see that all of the background is now those little squares, and that's kind of the universal message or icons for us to understand that something is now transparent. So what this means is if I save this file, even though it's the same shape, there's not going to be anything in that transparent area. So whatever I have behind it is going to show through, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. We're going to pop over to Adobe Illustrator, and I'll show you how I make my still images and I drop these things in. So now that it's done, we've done all of the steps. Now all we have to do is export this file, and Photoshop makes it real easy. We're going to go up to File in the top left corner. We're going to go down here to Export, and look at that. The very first option is export as a quick PNG. What that's going to do is going to take the JPEG wherever you found the JPEG inside your system, and it's going to add a PNG file exactly like it. And it won't overwrite the JPEG because it's a .jpeg file, but it's going to make a .png file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go export, quick export as a PNG file, and then it says right down here it's going to make a ATEM Pro PNG file. Now because I want to be able to find that and drop that in for you, I'm going to go up here to my travel drive, and I'm going to go into tonight's live stream. I have this folder, Studio. And then down here, I have my post show. And I'm just gonna put it in this folder, and I'm gonna hit save right now. And now inside that folder is a PNG. And just so you know what I said earlier, that I can make one of these in 30 seconds or less, let's open. I'll show you how to open a file. You go up here to File, you click on Open. Let's go in here to Open. And I keep a lot of these files inside this Studio folder. And I try to keep almost all of my JPEGs that I'm gonna use in still images, pictures that I want to incorporate in a still image. I try to keep all those in this folder. And so let's just grab a JPEG right here. This is a JPEG, and I'm gonna open it up. And it's a little bit more complicated, so you can start the clock. I'm gonna click here. Now, because it has another section that's blocked by black, I'm gonna hold down Shift. I'm gonna click right in the middle of this area, and now it's selected both. I'm not gonna do any fine tuning because I like what I have here. I'm gonna right click, hit Select Inverse. I'm gonna go down here and hit this transparency layer. I'm gonna go up to File. I'm going to hit Export a quick PNG. Now it's gonna warn me that it's overriding the previous one, but I'm gonna hit Save anyway. There's the warning. I'm gonna overwrite the one I made before, and now I have a brand new PNG, and I don't know how long that was. That was about 15 seconds. So that's how quick it is when they're not super complicated. But now let's go into a different program right here. So I'm gonna switch back to my camera 2, and let's go into Adobe Illustrator, and I'll show you now how I'll take that PNG that we just made, that I put over in my live folder, post show, and drop it into a black background, and start building a still image for a show. So in order to do that, let's grab a still image like the one I used tonight. Let's see. Yeah, we'll use this one right here. So I'm gonna open that up, and then we'll flip back to that other view, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do here, and we'll drop those in. You're gonna recognize this still image, so let's go back to that view. So here's the still image that I was working on tonight for the live show. And you can see here's the before and after. This is a JPEG. This is exactly what they look like when you have a JPEG. And this is what a PNG looks like over here on the right when you have a PNG file. So let's delete this one. Let's delete this one. We already beat the 60-second clock. We'll just take out the before and after. And now let's drop in our PNG. So we're gonna go up to File. We're gonna hit Place. I'm gonna go into that folder. Gonna go into Studio. Go into Post Show. And then here is our PNG file. We're gonna place that right here. And now I will shrink it down. And there you go. So now if I went up here and I placed a JPEG instead, so let's go down here, and I'll actually look for the one that we used for the demo. Should be down in all of these JPEGs and PNGs that I've used before. There you are. It says ATEM Mini Pro JPEG. I'm gonna hit place. I'm gonna bring that in. And there's what you see. That's the before, and that's the after. And obviously, the after looks so much better because it doesn't have the white background. And so I just put a PNG that I transported from JPEG world to PNG world, all that quickly, and then open up After Effects. And After Effects is just really like Microsoft Word or Corel Draw and all the other apps that are out there that lets you just build layers of graphics, and it's not super technical. You can shape things, you can color things, you can fill things, you can type in fonts, and all you are is layering things in the front and layering things in the back. So if I move this back layer of black to the front and hit Arrange, Bring to the front, it covers up everything. So you start with the black layer in the back. So I'll put it in the back, send to the back, and then you start layering on top. And all of these things that you see are layers. This is my gray font. that I turned sideways just by using this tool right here to rotate it. I drew this little yellow area. So this has been drawn, and I have 2 versions of it in here just to fill up some space. So I built that whole still image inside Adobe Illustrator, but I needed those graphics, so I just quickly create those in Photoshop by taking a JPEG and then copying it and putting it inside Photoshop, using the Magic Wand tool, selecting the area outside of the graphic, clicking with my mouse button, right mouse button, and selecting the inverse. And then after I've selected the inverse, I go to the bottom and select the transparent tool. It shows me that all the background now is transparent, so I know I did the first 2 steps right. I go up to File, I hit Export, I get to choose Export as a PNG file. That's why it's at the very top, and I export it to whichever folder I want, and then I can pull that into whatever software I want, and that's great. Now, one of the things that I have been doing, so we'll delete all of this. Let's just delete all of this, cancel. So let's say I wanted to just make a lower thirds. What I do is I go up here to the box tool, and again, this is in Adobe Illustrator, and I create a box the size of the still image. And I can actually see these little black lines that kind of let me know I'm in the right place. You can see it. That's the 1080p frame, and I choose that as an option when I'm creating a new file. And where you do that is you go up under File, you click on New, and then over here you have these choices: mobile, web, print, film, and video. I'm going to choose film and video. I want a 1920 by 1080 frame. I'm going to hit Create. I'm going to name this tonight Test. I'm going to go into Create. Now I have a blank slate that's 1920 by 1080p because that's what I'm broadcasting at. I go up here, I build the box, right, the same size as the frame, and make sure it fills that whole area as close as I can. I'm going to turn this to transparent right here by clicking on the color. I'm going to choose this blank lined area here, which makes it transparent. I'm going to do the same thing on the line. I want no line there. So now I have a box that's completely transparent. It doesn't have a color inside the box. It doesn't have a color on the line. And then I'm going to take my tool for typing, which is right here on the left-hand side. I'm going to pick the bottom left-hand side for my lower thirds. I'm going to say Life's Journey. Spelled that wrong. I'm going to increase the size of this font by grabbing the right corner, top corner, hold down Shift to make sure it doesn't change the format. Now I can see my spelling. And so now I want to change the color of this font. I'm going to go up here to the little black box, change it to the predominant yellow in here, which is what I use. And then I could either click on it, go up and hit Copy, and then click Paste, and put this behind it as a shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click in the middle of it. I'm going to say Arrange, Send to the back, and I'm going to go up here. I want to turn this to black. So now I can put this behind it as a shadow like that. And now I have a lower thirds. And now if I was to export this, export as, remember, I don't want a JPEG, I want a PNG file. So if I was to export this as a PNG file, and you just click over here on the right when you're exporting it, and you get all these options of what format you want to export it. I can export it as an Adobe file. I can export it as a PNG, again, JPEG, a TIFF, all of these formats. But we want a PNG, and so we're going to call it Test. We'll put it in that same folder. Studio, live stream, post show. We're just going to save it here again. I think I already, nope, don't have anything called Test. I'm going to export it as a PNG. It shows me the graphic that it is a PNG. I can change how big it is. I can make it medium, high. I'm just going to leave it at medium. I'm going to hit OK. And now I can go in here right now and open up the folder, my file folder from my computer. Again, go into that drive, studio, go in here to post show. I can bring this now into my media player. So let me show you that. I'm gonna open up my media player here. Switch to my camera. Media player, where are you? Gotta drag it over to my desktop. So we'll show you that again. So there's my media player. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up so you guys can see it. I'm gonna drag and drop this into an empty slot. There it is. So now I can drop that graphic on the screen right over here by dragging it from the media pool. That's a media pool. These are players up here. So anything I put over here can be brought into my live stream. Everything over here is just in a folder. And I can drag this in over top of that graphic. And now you can see Life Journey Productions is on the screen. If I don't like where it's placed, then I can go back in, move it around, and re-export it. But there you go. I can use that one just like I made this one, and they both were made inside Adobe Illustrator. And I first, if I want to add some other picture onto it, then I would go into Photoshop, making sure I take that that JPEG file and turn it into a PNG, and then I can drag it and drop it into that same design in Adobe Illustrator, and I could have a HyperDeck on top of this graphic if I wanted to. And again, everything around that HyperDeck would be transparent because I created it in Photoshop. So I hope you enjoyed that little quick tutorial of how to take a JPEG and turn it into a PNG file. Because once you have this, you can now go into your flying key and you can play around with it and make it fly around the screen. So, and I can take some questions real quick. It's good to have you here. Conjoined Technologies has joined me. And I'm just going to go back. So if you have any questions so far about turning a JPEG into a PNG, let's take a few minutes to do some questions. And then here, and once we're done answering the questions, we'll talk about my first experience with the Web Prsenter HD, and as well as show you some behind the scenes clips of my trip up to the venue in Spokane. So any questions about that or anything? So let me go back through here. We answered Freddie's question earlier. Let's see, audio is good. We talked about that. Thank you for saying good evening. Tony, good evening to you as well. Already said good evening to Elon, and I've already said good evening to the rest of you, I think, and I just greeted Conjoined Technologies. Tony says here, he's from southeastern North Carolina. That's cool. Also said hi to Freddie. Let's see here. So Keith, your music is still playing in the background. Yes, it is. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to add that to the mistakes I've made. Sorry about that, guys, but I appreciate that. I need to keep more paying attention to the chat. So that's a bummer, but I can always redo that tutorial if I want to upload it online. So hopefully you can still hear me and you can still see the tutorial. Let me know if that's okay, if it worked. But yeah, I did have the audio playing in the background, which means I was doubling the audio in my intro reel, which is, it just seems like there's a mistake with live streaming every week, regardless of how hard you work. I'm not complaining. It actually makes me smile. We'll talk about some of that stuff in the post show. But with people like Tony watching my back, at least I have the music off now, and I should have looked down at my Rodecaster Pro and saw that. So thank you. Any other questions about making a JPEG into a PNG before we show you how to make a regular static PNG lower thirds fly around the screen? So any questions before we move on? And while I'm waiting for the questions, I am going to talk about what's on the shelf in the post show. And so I made a quick macro to cut to this. So on the top shelf in this picture are two things that I purchased, and we're going to talk about those in the post show just real quickly. So just keep that in mind if you like those two characters, and if you like bobbleheads, that's just something we're going to touch base with inside the post show. So I hope that you guys will enjoy that. Again, so that's just one thing. And you saw the hide and seek champion right below that. So cool. Let's see. Good to see you, Cutler. Hey, Cutler. So Cutler and I actually work together in content. So it's just great to see you on this, on the live stream. And a very, very, very cool person. Lives up in the Spokane Valley area as well. Thank you for joining me tonight, Cutler. We go back in the work world. So if you have any questions about how to turn a JPEG into a PNG, let me know tonight, anytime. I'll stop and address that. Let's just look real quickly how you can take this static graphic right here, which is a PNG transparent. So everything else around is transparent, so you can see me and it's in the lower thirds, and how we can animate it. Now I have it assigned to a key, so we'll switch to that other screen again, right here. And I'm going to go to the switcher page. This is the Blackmagic Design Control Software. You can see I'm on the air. So everything I do on here can and will affect the live show. Keep that in mind. It's another reason why I want to have a web presenter, because I could be live streaming from the web presenter, and still everything I would do in here would affect it, but I couldn't accidentally turn it off or anything while I'm doing these demos. So right now I have this key on, and watch the graphic below me. As I turn this key on and off, it turns that graphic on and off, and that graphic's going to sit wherever it was designed to sit. And here it is right here. You can see if I drag this graphic up, that happens. If I bring this Roland over, that happens. It's a PNG file and it covers the whole screen. So that graphic's going to sit wherever I designed it to sit. If it's designed to sit in the center, it's going to go in the center. So then how do I move it around the screen without having to have a HyperDeck or a video player? Can I move it around the screen? Can I enlarge it? What can I possibly do without having to have a HyperDeck or playing a input from my media player on my laptop, or playing something from my iPhone, or getting one of those little Playbees into a little Apple Pi mini computer, having another PC playing videos? However you do that, how can I animate these things just by using the control software, which is right there? So let's open up the control software, and where you find your keys is these are your keys. They come on and off, and you can have them travel with a certain view on the screen. So let's say I want this to go off when I change cameras. I'm going to turn this little button on right here, and that's going to make sure that this stays with this super source. So now if I cut back just to me, there's no font below me because I shut that feature off. If I turn this little key on, off, now it doesn't, it's just going to stay on regardless of what camera I choose. So again, it stays right there. It's just static. The key controls, I can turn it on, I can turn it off, I can tie it to a certain view. But how do I animate it? You go up here to palettes and close super source. I'm going to find my upstream key. That's right here. I'm going to go down here to where it says flying key. Now watch the key right now when I click on flying key, because it's going to default to whatever is already programmed inside the flying key. So I'm going to turn the flying key on by clicking the little button here. And now, do you see my logo go back? If I click on this full right here, it's going to go back to its original location. If I click on set A, it's going to set that point right there. Well, I already have a full point. I don't want a full point. I want a different place on the screen for this logo to come from. So I'm going to go up here to the flying key settings, and I can use the X point to pull it off of the screen. And now I can hit set A. And now watch when I hit full, it flies onto the screen. If I hit go to A down here next to full, now it's lit up because I set the A point. Now watch, it's going to fly off the screen. But what if I want it to fly off the other side of the screen? Well, let's hit the full button. Let's bring it back in. And now let's set a B point. So we have a full point. We have an A point off the screen over there. Now let's run it off the screen over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this same X point and I'm going to pull this off the screen. And if I hold my mouse over X, I can just pull my mouse to the right and it leaves the screen. I go down here to keyframe, I set B, and now here's full, here's A, and here's full again, and here's B. So I just animated the logo, but what if I don't want it the same size? What if I want it to blow up and fly off the screen? Well, let's bring it back to full. Let's steal our A point, and let's go ahead and make this very big. Let's see, let's bring it up first. So that's the X point. I'm gonna go to the Y point, bring it up here, and then I'm gonna make the X point larger. Keep going, and I can only go as far as my mouse will let me go. Almost off the screen. Okay, now I have it off the screen. I'm gonna set the A point, and now as I hit full, there you go. I hit the B point, it flies off that way. I hit the full again, it flies back into place. Now I'm gonna hit A, and guess what? It just flew off the screen. I could have it fly on the top. I could have it fly to the right. And because I have a full point, I can have an A point, have it fly in from one side of the screen, and I can have it fly out from the other side of the screen. And whatever changes I make on it, size or position on the screen, it'll do that. Now, it doesn't let me spin it. It doesn't let me do transparency. All I can do is change the size of it, and I can fly it to the right, to the left, and different places on the screen. But that's how you can turn this animated logo into a flying key. And if you don't want it to fly around the screen, just come up here and turn flying key off. And now when you turn this on and off, it's going to be right in that same spot that you always designed it to be. So that's how you do a animated graphic just using the flying key inside your software. Now, because I have 4 keys inside my A10 Mini Pro Extreme ISO, and it's the same in the Extreme, I have 4 different, I can have 4 different graphics, and I can bring them on one at a time by turning them on. I'm only using one graphic tonight for this, and it's right there. So that's, again, how you use Photoshop to create a transparent graphic. That's how you go into Adobe Illustrator to build it so that it's a lower thirds, creating the transparent box, the size of the frame, putting that lower thirds just like this one that we created, hopefully accurately the first time where you want it. That's a little high, so I would go back in, make that a little bit lower inside the software. So obviously this is too high, so we want this lower, and so bring the shadow lower. Now I don't have to make another version of it in the background to make a shadow, so let's just delete that. Go up to Edit, hit Clear. Now if I click on it and I go up here to Effects and I scroll down to Styles, I have a drop shadow option here, and you can see the drop shadow dropped in. I can make it more transparent by turning down the opacity. I can change the offset of how far it is and what position it's in, and I can also increase and decrease the amount of blur. Hit OK, and now that same graphic has transparency. Now, when you have transparency in a graphic, that changes the game. So, and that we've talked about in other videos, and that means now you have transparency, and to make transparency look really good, you need to use the pre-multiplied key. So when you export a transparent graphic with like that gray background drop shadow, it's really important that you start using other features inside your control software and how you export files, and we'll talk about that in a future video. So again, I like the location. I'm going to hit save as a JPEG, or export again as a JPEG. Export as. We'll just well, let's do test 2. And let's hit export. There it is. We'll drop it into tonight's show as well. So there's test 2. We're going to drop that. We have, let's see. Let's bring that over here. Let me open back up. the control software. Let's drag that over next to the other graphic, and I'll drag that on the screen, and there you see it. So obviously, because of that darker background, it looks pretty crisp and all that, but you can actually make it look even better once you start adding transparency, grayscales behind graphics. There's some things that you can do. Right now, it's not over top of me, so it's just on a static background, and it looks really sharp, and it pretty much doesn't need to be touched. But if you wanted to put it on top of yourself, like in this shot, it starts breaking up because it doesn't really have what you want in the background to make it a better pre-multiplied key. And again, we'll talk about that in another live stream. Okay, so any questions about any of that you guys would like to address? Cool, thank you, Cutler. You heard me fine, even though there was my music playing in the background. So tonight we have some people in the live stream that really specialize. So the people that I know, I've been in communication with Freddie, and Freddie's doing sales around the world. And so soon we'll get Freddie on the show, and we'll actually talk about what he does in one of my post shows. I got a chance, like I said, to tell you I work with Cutler. He has some specialties. Tony has some specialties. If you go over to Quick Tech Solutions channel, you're going to find out what he knows and what he specializes in their channel. And every YouTube channel is a little different. I love this community. I enjoy the relationships that are developed. I do have to say I wish it was a little different than just chat, but it's really cool. It's good to have Doug Force on here tonight. He says, hi, thank you for joining me. And I just want to tell you publicly, Doug, I did not, in my post show last week, I shared 10 mistakes that I've made in live stream. Now we have, and I shared a bonus. Now we have 12 because tonight I forgot to turn off my music. Now I have the music on my Rodecaster Pro so that if I want to start the live stream just a tad early, right? Instead of 7 minutes before I start live on camera, I want to start like 8 minutes. I'll go ahead and go live. I'll play some music with just the still image on the screen. That's what I was doing tonight. I was getting ready to go live a minute early. There was some glitch. My YouTube software and my ATEM would not go live. I literally rebooted my ATEM Extreme ISO and my HyperDecks and my ATEM Mini Pro, which I use in all my lives. I let them boot back up. I had to reconnect my HyperDecks just because they seem to not be able to read the IP every time. They do fine on my ATEM Mini Pro, but they don't do it both on my ATEM Mini Pro and my Extreme ISO. And because they're both on, they're both talking, I have to go in and make some changes in the IP address. And where I do that, guys, is right here. I might as well show you. So let's change back to this other camera view, me and the desktop. So down here in the bottom left is the settings. And then when you click on it, it opens up this little box, and you have all these folders. You have general folders. This is what I'm streaming at. You have the audio. I can split up audio tracks. I can make mic levels in. I can go to multi-view and change what I want to see on the screen in my multi-view. You guys don't see the multi-view. I can share the multi-view with you guys tonight, but I can set that up however I want, and I can put whatever I want in these boxes. I can label things so that when I look at my control software, instead of it saying input 1, I can call it Canon EOS R, which I have, and you can see my labels here. I can go up to HyperDecks, and this is where you find out if your HyperDecks are connected. And if you don't know what a HyperDeck is very simply, and you're gonna see one when we get to the next half here in just like 2 minutes. The HyperDeck lets you play videos back in your live stream, which you're gonna see in a minute. It also lets you play animated graphics. So if you wanna create some really high-tech After Effects graphics and have them fly on your screen, then you would use a HyperDeck or some player to do that. And the HyperDeck will actually do, the HyperDeck that I have, both of them, will actually do graphics with a key channel. So it'll give me that transparency, that clear transparency channel, which we call a key channel in the world of video production and video live streaming or live production. So again, I had to fire up my HyperDeck, save it, and then I was able to go live. I don't know what the problem was, but when in doubt, reboot. So again, I had to do that tonight, and that's why I had the live stream music on. And I just, because I was such in a hurry to reboot everything, what can go wrong sometimes goes wrong. You almost have to have that kind of list. Unmute the microphone, Keith, you're live. Change to this camera view. And actually, this is the camera view that I go to when we go live after my intro video. And then I should have looked down because it's right in front of me and saw that my music was playing and my slider was up for my Rodecaster Pro player. So again, any questions about the first half, turning a JPEG into a PNG, the flying key feature in the control software, how to build a still image in Adobe Illustrator, any of those things that we touched on earlier, or if you learned anything or you liked it, you could even say, I appreciate it or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to ask a question, but I just want to make sure that it was pretty well clear. So. And Freddie says, please hit the like button. Oh, Joe, I see you. Awesome. Thank you. Practical IT. So with Jeremy Leak. So yeah, Joe, if you have a YouTube channel, let us know what your YouTube channel is about and go over and check out his channel. You can go over to Doug Force's Forced Online. I subscribed to his channel recently, so I'm getting alerts now from his channel. I get alerts from Tony's channel with Quick Tech Solutions. So go through there and connect with these people that have YouTube channels. Obviously, not everybody that attends a live stream has a YouTube channel, so keep that in mind. So, okay, so let's change some gears, and let's talk about this experience that I had when I went up to solve some issues at the venue up in the Spokane Valley. I was there yesterday in Spokane Valley, which is about 2.5 hours north of me. I used to travel up there in my old job all the time. Not all the time, but sometimes once a week, sometimes twice or 3 times a month or less. And so I'm very familiar with the area. I know lots of people up there, and I got referred to this local venue in Spokane Valley because they were having issues live streaming on OBS. Now, they'd been live streaming on OBS for a long time, but all of a sudden, recently, they started having the live stream drop in OBS, and they have a very high-end Mac that they stream from. They don't use it just specifically for streaming. They're using it for other things during their live presentations, but they really didn't have any problems, and all of a sudden, they were losing their live stream. Their lips could be off literally 60 frames. When they were streaming at 60 frames per second, their lips got off, and it was horrible. And when they were streaming in OBS, the recording in OBS was off as well. So not only did they have an issue with their live stream being off, they had no way of uploading it later, taking that live stream video down and uploading it later. So that was the problem that we wanted to solve. And so they invited me to go up, and so I went up, I met with them, I looked at their system, and I made a recommendation that they make some changes, that they no longer stream primarily in OBS, even though OBS is still a backup stream for them, always ready to go in case there's an issue with what I recommended them. But what I recommended them is these 2 devices. So let me cut to a different screen here. So here you go. So on the left, you have the Blackmagic Design Web Prsenter, and you see if I can get this thing to draw on the screen tonight. Not working. It seems to time out with my new Wacom tablet. So again, on the left, you have the Web Prsenter. On the right, you have the HyperDeck. And what I recommended that they do is that they use the Web Prsenter HD. And if you don't know anything about the Web Prsenter, it's been around for quite a while. They've updated it. They took away some features. They added some features. And it's just a really good tool. If you were streaming from your home and you wanted to have one camera and you didn't want to use your laptop anymore, your web camera anymore, you wanted to get yourself a nice high-end Canon or a Sony, maybe a ZV-1 or maybe a Sony a6400, maybe a Canon 5D Mark IV, a Nikon, something that you could just hook up, have some really nice lens, get some nice depth of field behind you, which is the blurring the background. And I don't do a lot of that because I want you guys to see the background. But if you wanted that look, you could use the Web Prsenter as a tool to bring in that signal, but you are going to have to convert the HDMI from your camera to SDI, because that's all you have. You can see on the back of the Web Presenter, that's all you have as an input. You have an HDMI output, and that's the screen, so you can show you can see the status of your stream, and you can see what's going on, the status of your audio, and it's a great view. You're going to see a picture of that in the video I'm about to show you. So you would have to convert it, so you need to get an SDI converter. So you got to go HDMI to SDI, and then you'd come out of that. And that's what that device is over on the far right of your screen. I didn't take that device up there with me. They use this device. It's a Roland converter, and they have a number of different converters. They're not inexpensive. They're in the upwards of the $350 range. And this particular one is designed to embed audio. So their switcher is a Ross Carbonite Black Solo, very high-end switcher, retails in the 6,000 range, has lots of cool features. It doesn't encode, so it doesn't take that video and encode it to get it ready to stream, and it doesn't stream. So they were taking an HDMI feed from that, or actually an SDI feed from HDMI to SDI. So they're taking an HDMI feed from that, converting it to SDI, and bringing that into their streaming software and broadcasting it that way. And so it's the perfect device because it has another output. So we didn't have to unhook it from OBS and how they had it hooked up into the regular system. And they actually used two switchers. We were able to just hook it up, make sure that we turn on inside the Roland device. It has a little dip switch to be able to turn on audio for the second SDI out. So it gives you the option to have audio or not have audio out of the second SDI. And the way you embed audio is you come out of your soundboard, and they came out of their soundboard into a little PreSonus interface. And then out of the interface, they came out 1/4 inch right and left into the Roland. And so between the Roland on the far right of your screen is the HyperDeck. And that's the HyperDeck HD from Blackmagic Design, the Studio HD. It does not play key graphics. It has a SDI in, no HDMI input. You can see there on the back, it has an HDMI output for monitoring it. You have an SDI through. So we're coming from the Roland inside that device, and then we're streaming out of the HyperDeck recording into the SDI input of the Web Presenter Pro. And from the Web Presenter Pro, we're streaming. And it seems complicated. Just in that talk, let me show you a picture. If you think that's complicated, check this out. Let's go to this shot right here. This is kind of a drawing that I did for them so that they would understand exactly how to hook everything up. And then I circled that they need to have power. And one of the things that you need to know about the Web Presenter HD and the HyperDeck Studio HD, they don't come with a power cord. So you need to get the standard power cord. And you can also see there is another option for power on the back of the Web Presenter Pro. And I think the smaller HyperDeck can actually be powered over Ethernet. And again, I only recommended that device because it is a great recorder. You can record on the two SD cards on the front of it, and they'll automatically roll over, or you can have it record on the USB C out on the back to an SSD drive, which you can see in the picture, and you can record to that. Let's see if I have drawing capability here yet. Still can't draw on the Wacom tablet. Just thought I would try it. So it's interesting what these tools can do. And it's not as complicated as you see. It's really simply getting the SDI into the HyperDeck, looping out of that HyperDeck to the Web Presenter SDI in. All you got to do is set up the software, make sure they're plugged into the network. You want to plug in a USB C port, download the software onto your Mac or your PC, making sure you update the firmware on both units, and you do that through USB C from your laptop. Then you can use the internet to communicate with them, make sure they're all linked up, and you can start and stop the HyperDeck on the front, hitting record and the stop button. And once you have the inputted your live streaming location inside the software, and you do that inside the software on your Mac or your PC, once that's all set up, like they go to restream.io, then from Restream, they send it out to Facebook and YouTube. So as soon as you put in the destination on Restream, you put in the streaming key, every time you want to go live, all you have to do is make sure there's a picture on the front of both of those devices. You know you're ready to go. You would hit record on the HyperDeck, and then you would hit go live on the Web Prsenter Pro, and it's that simple. And so I want to show you how these are on the desk at the venue in their sound video production booth that sits right in the back of the main venue. And you'll also get a chance to see Zach in the still frame picture. He's the guy that is in charge of all of the audio and all of the video production in that facility. And that was who my contact was up there. And again, I just saw him yesterday. So let's cut to this video. There is only some music. There's no voiceover, so I'm going to talk over it. So here we go. So there's the Web Prsenter HD. And we're going to use it for encoding and streaming out to Restream.io. They also are using that little HyperDeck, or that little Blackmagic Design controller to switch their Blackmagic cameras. There's the HyperDeck Studio HD. That's for recording their live stream. And that's what you see when you plug the Web Prsenter into a monitor. That's their Ross Carbonite Black Solo, and that is a really cool device. It doesn't encode, it doesn't stream, but it is a great, great little switch. And then you're gonna see the same still image that I showed you guys already right here. And two of those devices on the right they already had, and we added these two new devices, and they're up and ready to go. And my logo. So again, it was really cool. It was a fun experience to go up there. We did have some issues. So when we first hooked everything up, and I didn't get a chance to go up there, they wanted to just have me here in my office on Zoom, and they wanted to hook everything up. So I sent them diagrams. I took the time to make those diagrams that you guys saw so that they knew exactly how to hook things up. And as it turned out, I had, in my mind, I had seen their Roland as a SDI to HDMI converter. I don't know why I saw it that way. So when I was trying to problem solve when I was on the phone in the Zoom call, I couldn't quite figure it out. So I did some research the next day, realized what I had done, because I'd never used the Roland converter before, that I had thought it was just the opposite of what it really is. And I think I have a picture of that converter here. Let's see if I can find it. Let me switch to this other view. So there it is on Roland's site, and it is HDMI to SDI, and I had reversed it in my head. Once I really realized it was HDMI to SDI, now you know the input is on the HDMI side and the output is on the SDI side. And our brains are just unique things. Sometimes when you have decided something is something, it doesn't matter how long you look at it, you almost have to take a step back. I call it to take a step back, take a few hours, come back completely open to any information. So you got to kind of flush your brain, come back and look at the device again. And you're going to find that true if you get an ATEM Mini Pro, if you use the flying key feature. Sometimes you just need to step away and then use it again until finally it clicks. Well, when this clicked, I realized that it had the ability, even pictures on the front, it had the ability to have two SDIs come out. So you had the main SDI and then they have a through SDI. And then you also have the ability to embed audio. So you can embed right and left audio, because again, their ROS does not have the ability to import audio from their big console mixer because it's a live venue. So they're mixing live sound for the live audience in the building, right? And then you have the live audience out that, and many venues will have a separate console and a separate mixer with headphones or speakers mixing for the live stream audience. So you have two soundboards, but they only have one. So they're sending a mixed signal out of that to a little mixer, and then they bring that, bypassing the ROS. The ROS sends the video out, and then they mix it right inside that Roland device. So they add the audio to the video, and then they transport that to an SDI out to their live stream locations. So we had to turn a switch on to get audio in the second SDI output. That goes into the Web Prsenter, or the HyperDeck. Then we can see the picture on the HyperDeck. We can see the audio meters are good. Now we can record to SD drives, also an SSD drive in the back if we want to. They'll automatically roll over, and you can set that inside the software. And then out of the SDI out, the loop out from the HyperDeck, we go into the input in the Web Prsenter Pro. And again, they're both hooked up to the internet. Both of them had USB-Cs plugged into them so that we could make sure the firmwares were updated. After you get the firmware updated, you don't have to have those USB-Cs plugged into them, because in the HyperDeck, you want to use that USB-C port to hook up a SSD drive to record to it. And they purchased a 1 terabyte scan disk drive, just like I use here in my studio. They got the newer version that's even faster than my newest version. I think it's like 1,400 megabytes a second. They invested in that. It's about $150 US. And that's what they're going to record to. So they'll only plug in their Mac into that port when they need to update the HyperDeck, when there's a new firmware update. So with that, we were able to get this thing set up. And my experience with the Web Prsenter, once we figured out what was going on with the Roland, then we had an issue where it would not stream to restream. So the only thing that I could figure, just problem solving, was, okay, so they were messing with it. They hooked it all up when I wasn't there. Let's reboot the device. And because there's not an on and off button, I unplugged it. I also took the Ethernet port out, plugged it back in. I went into the software inside the Macintosh. We opened it up, and I made sure all the settings were right. I clicked away from 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second. Then I clicked back. I just kind of went through and refreshed the software, made sure that everything was updated inside the Web Prsenter HD by going through the menus, and I could see that it updated the frames per second, and it updated all of that. And the IP address got restated inside the device. And this time when I hit the go live button, because we were set up already to stream, we had a stream set up inside Restream that was private, and we were sending a video from their Macintosh into their mixer, into our program. So all we wanted to do is get that video that you guys saw on the screen playing on the live stream. And so as soon as I hit on air, guess what? The Web Prsenter went on air. We had that beautiful display from the Web Prsenter that tells you all the information. It tells you if you have any cache building up. It tells you how many megabytes a second you're streaming up to the internet on. And in reality, I really, really had a good experience. And it was great for me because the idea for me was, let's have them pay for it. Let's install it there. I know it's a good device. I've done my due diligence. I've researched it. It's a perfect scenario for them, right? Now they can one button press to record, and they can one button press to go on the air. And that's great for all the people that work there. There's no big training involved. As long as everything's set up in Restream and everything's good to go, and they send the program to the stream, right? Then all they have to do is hit record first on the HyperDeck and then hit on air on the Web Prsenter Pro. And that big screen that they can get now from the Web Prsenter HD is great. It has all kinds of information. It tells you what audio bit you're streaming at. It gives you the last 6 seconds of video in little frames on the screen. It's just amazing. If I had a Web Prsenter HD here, and I will be getting one soon, I'll show you exactly how that works. But my experience is great. Tomorrow morning is their first live event, and then they'll have another one too this weekend. And so I'll be able to check out the live stream because I have access to their live stream and see how it goes. So that's how you make a JPEG into a PNG. And that's my experience with the Web Prsenter Pro. And a shout out to Zach and his team up there in Spokane Valley for all the things that they're doing. And they have some really cool technology for Blackmagic Design cameras that they actually use the little rack mounted Blackmagic HD 8 SDI inputs, and that's what they're using from their Blackmagic cameras. They take that program into their ROS controller, and the ROS is a pretty cool device as well. Not that we're going to go into that in great details, but I want to just give you guys a quick look at the website here. So here's their website. It's rosvideo.com, and you can check out the Carbonite Black Solo if you want to know more about it. To me, it looks like a pretty good console. It's a little outdated. It does have a video play feature. You can put a thumb drive in it and play videos. It has more than one ME, so you can do different things with it that you can't do with a ATEM Extreme or ATEM Extreme ISO. So pretty cool devices. Their videos kind of playing here in the background. If you like that manual buttons and the manual transition lever, all of that, you can have it. And you can get this as a rack mounted unit with just a MIDI device controller. It looks exactly like this, or you can get it in an all-in-one unit. So a really cool device. And I hadn't really done any research on ROS equipment because it's always been way out of my price range. I really dove into these mixers when Blackmagic Design came out with the ATEM Mini Pro. Actually, the ATEM Mini caught my eye, and then obviously now I have an Extreme ISO. And if you were on the live stream last week, I may be getting two. So any questions that you guys have tonight that I can answer for you, it would be great to hear from you. Good to have David here tonight. Thanks for joining me, David. Let's get out of this ROS view. So good to have you. David's out of Australia. He's a great photographer. He has a channel. Check out his channel. Again, I don't think I missed anybody else. It's great to have you guys live tonight. So any questions about what we covered tonight, on why I'm waiting to see if any, David says he loves the Web Prsenter. Oh no, the music is back. Yeah, the music was back inside that video. That's hilarious. Thank you, Conjoining Technologies, for that humor. It's always great. So thank you so much. So we're going to be a little bit late for the post show tonight, but I want to talk about it just real quickly. In the post show, I'm going to share a product that's coming probably tomorrow that I'm going to have in the live stream next week to share with you guys. Very excited about that. No, it's nothing from Blackmagic Design, but I'm going to save that for the post show. I will reveal what it is in the post show. I'm also going to talk about what makes me smile, and I'm going to tell you why is that in my live stream. What does that have to do with what we're doing in live streaming or video production or photography? I also want to talk about this in the post show, just because I ran out of time in this show. But this is actually a device that I had purchased. They're very inexpensive. I'll open it up, and it's got a gray side and it's got a white side. And I want to talk about this in the post show, and we're going to do that right at the top of the hour when we get in the post show, before we talk about what makes me smile, and even those make me smile, and I'll share why. And we'll talk about why that's important and why I'm going to spend a post show talking about what makes me smile. So any other questions? I have Conjoining Technology says, I have a Web Prsenter 4K and still have yet to play with it. Yeah, they have the HD, which will do, you can send a 12G signal to a Web Prsenter HD, but you can't stream higher than 1080p 60 frames per second. The 4K, I believe, is designed specifically to do 4K streaming. It gives them another tool to sell. For 4K, I'm not sure the differences, so I won't say it's the same. They just unlocked 4K streaming, because I'm sure there's things different in the 4K version. But thanks for sharing that, Conjoining Technology. So I don't stream at 4K, have no intention to do 4K anytime soon. But if you wanted to stream a presentation in 4K, you would need a tool like that to use it. I could use my cam link right here will do 4K into my laptop or into my PC. So if I wanted to come out of my EOS R 4K into this device, HDMI in, USB C out, obviously you have to have a very fast USB C port, and you better not have a bunch of other stuff going on in the background, like a face cam or a big monitor, because that'll stop these things from working. So keep that in mind if you decide to get a cam link. But if you just want to stream 1080p or 4K on one camera, this is a great solution, about 120 bucks. And you can go now usually and pick these up in places like Best Buy here in the United States or on Amazon. So again, thank you guys so much for joining the live. If you don't have any other questions, I need more smiles in my Life Keith jumper cables. So yeah, I'll talk a lot about what that means to me and why I think smiling is important, and really, what is a smile? What is the impact it makes? We're going to talk about all of that in the post show. So again, guys, it is 1:15. I'm supposed to be live now in the post show. So if you guys don't have any other questions, the post show is a separate link. So you'll have to go back onto my YouTube channel and click on the post show as soon as it goes live. And if you've already rang the bell and subscribed, and please subscribe. I actually have a button tonight to ask you to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel and then you're in the chat, I know you have, ring the bell as well. Don't just hit the like button if you like these videos. If you don't like the videos, then don't like it. Slam the I don't like the video down arrow. But if you want to get alerted every time a live stream is live or I'm about to go live, then make sure you ring the bell, because YouTube changed that algorithm to ringing the bell lets people know you're live. And obviously things have changed on other social media platforms to make it harder for people that are your friends or in your subscriber network to even know you're on live. So keep that in mind. The bell is that tool to make sure that bell rings to let you know that I'm going to be live. So I want to say a special thanks tonight to Cutler Rickle for joining me in the live. A special thank you to every single one of you. I will be turning on super chats and all of that probably next week. I'm just going to look into the documents and study it really well. I'm already capable of turning on those abilities. And so we'll see if that's available in the next week's live stream. I will be telling you that I'm producing a video this week about this device that'll be coming in, hopefully in the mail tomorrow. And we're going to talk a little bit about that device in the post show as well. So I hope you'll join me over there. So Freddie says, I can't be in the post show today. I'm sorry, Keith. I'll watch the replay. Great. Freddie, watch the replay. I hope you enjoy it. You just won't get any input about smiles until the next time we're in a live stream chatting together. But have a good night. And I know it's late there in Venezuela. I appreciate it. Cutler gave me a thumbs up. Thank you, Cutler. And again, I hope to get to see you, sir, face-to-face sometime soon. I would thoroughly enjoy that. And the rest of you, many of you have had a chance to already meet face-to-face. Some of you I haven't. I want to close the live show by letting you guys know I do a free 1-hour consult. So if you're struggling in streaming, thinking about streaming, and you want a free hour to talk about it on a Zoom call with me face-to-face, then take advantage of that. You can just go to my Life Journey Productions webpage. I'll put a link later tonight in both of the videos, and then just go over to the contact page, which that's the link I'll give you in the description later, and then just fill out the form, and in the notes let me know that you would like to set up a Zoom call. I actually had 2 last week and 1 the week before, and some of these people turn into clients long term. Some of them I just get a chance to meet face to face in a Zoom call, and that's a well deserved and a well invested hour for me to actually get a chance to meet some of you guys that are in these live streams. So again, 1 hour free consult on Zoom. If you think there's something that I could help you with, then let's do that. So let me know, and I would be happy to join that. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for the smiley faces. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for letting me know that you love the Web Prsenter, you have them. And if you'd like to know more about one of those pieces of equipment that you saw at that venue up in Spokane Valley, let me know, and we'll talk more about that maybe in the live streams to come. So until next week in this hour, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I'll see you then, or I'll see you in the post show. But until then, make sure you're happy. Find something that makes you happy so that it puts a smile on your face. Until then, I will see you then.